These are the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and I will tell you who they really are, and that together with the beast with the 7 heads, it's all related to that place in the Alps, what John tried to warn us for in his revelations from the Bible. Now watch this guy here. This is the first one on the white horse with the crown here. And it's the second one with the big sword. And it's the third one with the scales here. And this one is death. And remember the skull and bones, the symbol of death, the Freemasons. I'll come back to that later. And here you can see the sun god, the pharaoh, on the white horse, the first one, the first seal, of whom the guys with the crown, the kings and queens, the aristocracy came from, and who became finally Freemasonry. So this country from the Alps, we never hear from because they keep a low profile. Behind their clean and innocent neutrality swindle, the richest country in the world, the most expensive, where all the gold and other fortunes lie, and yet, miraculously, never gets involved in any war. Not the Second World War, not the First World War, and not even the worst of all, the 30-year war from 1618 to 1648. And deception is the biggest weapon of evil. But this center of all evil finances all wars, and they have a 5th column of Swiss sleeper agents in all countries of the world, which I've already proven to you in my other films. John was right, and I've come to tell you more about it. I'm a humble man with long grey hair, walking on sandals, and no one knows who I really am, as I haven't had any ID since 1981. That's 33 years now. And I move like a thief in the night, not to be seen by the Swiss Knights of Terror and their lies. So here it says white horse and a crown. So the first horse is a white one, as the Swiss cross is. And the crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. Now who's having a crown here? Yes, the king is having a crown. So the first horseman is the nobility, who came from the pharaohs, and finally became the last horseman, called Death, therefore portraying the skull of death of the Masons, as in skull and bones, and pale is the color of the bones, for a skeleton is not really white, neither the skin color of a corpse, because the horses themselves symbolize the body or organ, as in organization. And here it says virtus junxit mors non separabit, which means whom virtue unites, death will not separate. So this is a death cult, just like the 4th horseman. This is death, and they have all the power. As I told you before, the pharaohs became the aristocracy, and the aristocracy, the old world order, the feudal old world order, and the aristocracy became the new world order through Freemasonry. And this is the 4th horseman, death, the last one, as it is, as it has been written, but it's not really the last one. Well, it says the 4th horse and the 4th rider. It's called Death, the Freemasons. And the color white is indeed Pharaoh's color of the aristocracy, as they can afford themselves to wear white, as they don't work and get their clothes dirty. And he went out conquering and to conquer, meaning that the aristocracy is all over, everywhere, and ruled the entire world. Well, you can see those pharaohs all in white, see? Well, who else could afford himself or herself this? Yeah. Gets dirty, doesn't it? Well, that's why it's the white horse. That's the aristocracy. So here it says a red horse. This is the 2nd horse, and was given a big sword, and it will take all the peace from the earth. So the 2nd horse was red, the color of our blood, abundantly spilled over the earth. It was granted to take peace from the earth, and that man would slay one another, and a great sword was given to him. This is Octagon of the Templars, who also came out of the aristocracy, sort of being a union between the church and the nobility. I already explained it to you. And in 1291, 2.5 months after the Crusades, their base was born out of the first two colours, white and red, leading to the biggest wars of all, mass slaughter and compulsory military service. That's why this horseman has the biggest sword of all, with the colour red. So it even says, the Brotherhood of 1291. This is on a Swiss website. You know, they got loads of these things here, you know. And here it says Widerstand. It means resistance. So they're in a war. But they're not telling us, you know. They're smiling to the world. But at the same time, they're waging a war against us. And as we are a farmed race, it was meant for real masculinity to die out in the Horus Matrix. Followed up by professional armies of mostly them, having that easy task with their worldwide Templars Octagon police force to police humanity, where there's no more threat of masculinity to rise up. They've all died on the battlefields. This is why masculinity gets knocked out for even the slightest signs of resistance, or potential resistance even. Whereas this worldwide army are allowed to kill and murder worldwide. And especially in Octagon and the Alps, eugenics is widespread, where it's not even allowed to think differently. Then the third horseman, on a black horse, holding a pair of scales for business and to find the weight and consequent price of commodities, its value and current exchange rate. A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius. And do not damage the oil and the wine. These are the banks from Switzerland, founded by the previous horsemen of the Templars, through which even more control over humanity can be exerted, creating wars and famine where needed, and under the colour black as in the night, as the workings of financial crimes are the most invisible of all, and this instrument of control over mankind impossible to see and detect, like a black horse running in the middle of the night. Just think of how the Swiss Bank of International Settlements from Basel stole all the savings of honest Americans in 1929 in order to finance the Nazis' war industry. It came smooth and invisible, striking hard in a black night. It says billions lost. Well, nothing was lost. It just ended up in somebody else's pocket. And the fourth horseman is called Death, as the Masons' logo, together forming the wings of power coming out of the first horseman of the aristocracy. So the pharaohs became the aristocracy, who became the Freemasons, and they are ruling. The riders of the apocalypse are also showing the wings of power, where the second being their military wing, the Templars, the third knight their financial wing, the Swiss banks, and the fourth knight their political wing, the Freemasons, and those lying politicians. As ruling is an extremely tiring job, the kings of the old world order decided finally to delegate ruling into the hands of the new world order of the Masons, also their bloodline, but still keeping power in their own hands. And this is where the Bilderbergers' final control is situated. So far only 4 of the 7 seals have been opened, and there are indeed 3 more wings of control and consequent seals to be opened, which I will open for you now. And my name Sean is the Irish equivalent for the English name John. The fifth seal holds the wing of power called the media or mainstream, to twist our heads with lies and false flags, to divide and rule and play people out against each other, and who never talk about Switzerland as a rule. The sixth seal holds the six horsemen called religion, to play our minds and hearts, or heads and feelings, to make us turn the other cheek and make us pray only, so we don't rise up and do it ourselves, is severe blasphemy, as we are the instruments of the divine and not the other way around, and to play one religion out against another one, leading to more death, destruction, chaos and slaughter. And the seventh seal is science, being the seventh horseman, creating companies as Monsanto, trying to destroy the creation for more total control by patenting nature through criminal copyright, or the bees dying because of our own cell phones, so Monsanto can take over with these Freemason hermaphrodite plants. It is thus that the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns means the exact same thing as the 7 seals and the riders. And this is why the base of all evil and whore of Babylon in the Alps has 7 heads of state, who divide 10 ministries among each other. So this is in the Swiss Parliament, and here you can see the color white of the aristocracy as the first the white horse of the 4 riders of the apocalypse, the 4 horsemen. So this is the first horse, white, and here the second horse, red, of the Templars. These are the colors of Switzerland, actually. So this is in the Swiss Parliament in Bern. And here you can see there's 7 heads of state. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 presidents, which they call a Bundesrat. The 7 heads of Octagon, who worship Baphomet when sworn in or on other occasions. Also called the Hitler Oath. Well, who was a Swiss agent and financed by the Swiss Nazi Templars in the first place? Hiding some stupid Germanic soldiers, whom they were really serving, and to what power sworn into, by doing the Swiss oath. And here is to whom they are all sworn into. And again, the same as the 7 heads of state, done here by the Swiss Guard of the Pope. Oh, they love doing this, these Swissies. And here again, the Swiss Nazis, they do exactly the same thing as the same Hitler oath as in Parliament, as the Swiss Guard in the Vatican. And the 3 fingers, of course, are IHS, Isis, Horus and Seth, or the Horus Matrix of Baphomet. And here we can see that again, that the Swiss neo-Nazis or skinheads, they give the same Baphomet hand as the 7 heads of state of the Swiss Parliament. And here a Swiss Templar here, in an old painting of 1818, which you can see here. And here it says the Brotherhood of the Oath, you know, the old Eidgenossenschaft of Switzerland. So the Brotherhood of the Oath. Well, the oath you just saw. I just showed it to you with the 3 fingers. The Hitler Oath. That's the Brotherhood of the Oath. You know, it's a very creepy country here, extremely creepy. There he is, a Swiss Templar with Isis, the whore of Babylon. And some of the Swissies even make tattoos on their breasts of the 7 heads of the beast. There's only 5, because only these 5 here belong to the SVP Nazi Party. Well, there he is again with the Swiss watch, Templar's cross here, the Swiss cross and the Templar. Well, charming, isn't it? Charming people, really. Well, and as they are so proud of it, here they got the symbol of the Trojan horse, which is the 5th column of Swiss sleeper agents, like President Eisenhower or the General Eisenhower, J. Edgar Hoover, General Custer, President Herbert Hoover. So they're very, very proud of this way of, you know, infiltrating the world. The Swiss Trojan horse, the Swiss 5th column. And this is from the Tehran Times in Iran, where the entire Swiss headset of the SVP Nazi Party, who don't even like Muslims, they went to Tehran. I wonder if they secretly did the Baphomet hand in their hotel rooms. Like, here's the Swiss flags. Here's you can see there. Well, you can read it here. So that was Easter this year, on April 20th. That says April 20th. And the funny thing is, only 1 week before, I did an interview on the Iranian radio in French. So I wonder. And you know how I talk about this country, so maybe they got invited, like sort of, you know, by the Iranians. So here's the entire headset of the Swiss SVP Nazi Party, not just 1 or 2. They're all national councillors, which are like senators. This one is a senator, this one here, and this one. He's making all these posters against Muslims. Well, they probably would have liked it, the Muslims, you know, the Iranians, that they are making these lovely things against Muslims. I wonder what they're talking about here. Well, it certainly has to do with my the interview I gave about some hidden things about Switzerland. Well, and there they are again, on a nice Iranian carpet. And these are all senators, most important, you know. And they're very influential on the European Nazi picture. Having a lot of influence and setting up other European peoples against the Muslims and against Islam. So what are they doing in Iran this year in 2014 during Easter holidays, only 1 week after my interview on the Iranian radio? Eh? Well, we never hear anything or almost anything about it in the mainstream media, eh? Well, probably shaking hands with some Iranian president, this one here. This is Mr. Shluar. Very charming blokes. I wonder how much the Iranians valued the Swiss salute. And here you can see the Swiss salute, or the Hitler Oath, in the year 1943, when it was very extremely popular to do so. And it's coming back. And here we can see some more charming Swissies. You know, the top of the European Nazi movement, you could say, who proudly made it into the US Daily Mail in 2012. There. And you can read the whole story. Just punch pause. It doesn't give us the Hitler oath or the Swiss salute. Well, he's probably doing it here. Can't see the hands here. Charming, isn't it? I tell you, there are many of them here. And because 5-star General Eisenhower was of Swiss descent, he was a 5th column Swiss sleeper agent. So this is why Switzerland never underwent a denazification program, as the Germans had to do. Never. It's therefore no wonder that at the ceiling of Swiss Parliament, where all these occult signs are being given, like the Hitler oath or the Baphomet sign, it says this: "And under the words of Baphomet, his oath is sworn. One for all for one." Well, guess who that one is, to whom they're sworn into? Unus pro omnibus, omnem pro uno, which is also the proverb, one of the proverbs of the Templars, whose symbol we can see here, a bit modified, but with the same colors. And the colors of the first 2 horses of the apocalyptic riders, first white and then red. There you go. In Octagon of the Alps, this is a very popular thing to do, which makes them feel great and powerful, serving that one force. But I tell you, your time is up. For I came to tell you, crossing many borders illegally, without any ID, because I'm not your slave or property. And I came as a thief in the night. And this one is death. And remember the skull and bones, the symbol of death, the Freemasons. I'll come back to that later. And here you can see the sun god, the pharaoh, on the white horse, the first one, the first seal, of whom the guys with the crown, the kings and queens, the aristocracy came from, and who became finally Freemasonry. So this country, 30-year war from 1618 to 1648, and deception is the biggest weapon of evil. But this center of all evil finances all wars, and they have a 5th column of Swiss sleeper agents in all countries of the world, which I've already proven to you in my other films. John was right, and I've come to tell you more about it. I'm a humble man with long grey hair, walking on sandals, and no one knows who I really from the Alps, where you never hear from because they keep a low profile. Behind their clean and innocent neutrality swindle, the richest country in the world, the most expensive, where all the gold and other fortunes lie, and yet, miraculously, never gets involved in any war. Not the Second World War, not the First World War, and not even the worst of all, the Third. These are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and I will tell you who they really are. And that together with the beast with the 7 heads, it's all related to that place in the Alps, what John tried to warn us for in his revelations from the Bible. Now watch this guy here. This is the first one on the white horse with the crown here. And it's the second one with the big sword. And it's the third one with the scales here. I really am, as I haven't had any ID since 1981. That's 33 years now. And I move like a thief in the night, not to be seen by the Swiss Knights of Terror and their lies. So here it says white horse and a crown. So the first horse is a white one, as the Swiss cross is. And a crown was given to him, and he went out